For decades, Kaliningrad was the ultimate outlier. It was a region that didn't just tolerate the West, it embraced it. While Moscow was busy grinding its gears with anti-Western rhetoric, the people in Kaliningrad were living in a surreal European bubble. They hopped the border for weekend shopping, drank German beer, and treated Warsaw and Gdansk like their own backyard. It was the most westernized region in the Federation, a place where the Russian soul was slowly being traded for a European identity. But that dream didn't just fade. It was executed. The moment Vladimir Putin launched his disastrous invasion of Ukraine, the hammer came down. Kaliningrad, once a thriving bridge between East and West, was suddenly transformed into a rotting husk of useless land. This tiny exclave is now a powder keg, physically cut off from the Russian mainland and economically strangled by the neighbors it once called friends. As the Kremlin loses its grip, the social and economic fabric of the region is beginning to tear at the seams. What was once Russia's window to Europe has become a boarded-up basement, and the people inside are starting to realize that the motherland they're tied to has left them out in the cold. Kaliningrad wasn't built to survive in isolation. It was built to trade. Now, the borders are slammed shut, and a strange new energy deal has turned the region into a high-stakes hostage situation. The Suwalki Gap twists next. When you're an exclave, your lifeblood is transit. Kaliningrad depends on a thin rail line through Lithuania to get everything from coal to basic groceries. But in late 2025, that lifeline was severed. Lithuania, rightfully spooked by Russia's aggression, stopped playing nice, blocking the transport of oil product from Russian giants like Lukoil and Rosneft. But here's the origin Untold twist. While the oil stopped, the gas didn't. In January 2026, Lithuania signed a new gas transit deal with Russia that lasts until 2031. It's a 5-year hostage situation where the gas keeps flowing just to ensure Russia has no excuse to launch a rescue mission through the Suwalki Gap. The lights are on, but the economy is dead. Imagine running a business where the raw materials stop at the border because the leasing company is under sanction. One local concrete mogul reported that his entire operation hit a wall. Zero production for months because the cement trains were turned back at the fence. This isn't just a snag. It's a total economic wipeout. By 2026, the region is staring down a massive deficit, with transit costs skyrocketing and maritime routes becoming a logistical nightmare. Just like the bank robbers in our first video, Putin is playing a high-stakes game of chance with these people's lives. But in this version of Monopoly, there's no get-out-of-jail-free card. The money is gone, the fuel is drying up, and the people are over it. There's a secret independence movement brewing in the shadows of the Baltic. Wait until you see the ghost vote numbers that the FSB is trying to erase. For years, a quiet cultural drift was happening in Kaliningrad. The younger generation didn't look toward Moscow for inspiration. They looked toward the West. At the local Albertina University, students were extolling the virtues of German intellectuals rather than Kremlin strongmen. A slow westernization had seeped into the architecture and the very identity of the city. To many youngsters, cities like Warsaw or Berlin felt more like home than Moscow. Some even started calling the region Amber Country, a name that completely detaches it from the Russian brand. This wasn't just a trend. It was a total rejection of the Moscow-centric reality. Before the war, over 70% of Kaliningrad residents held passports, compared to the stark 30% national average across the rest of Russia. They were travelers and thinkers who saw the Poles as neighbors, not enemies. Your editor should show the Königsberg flag, the one with the crown, because that has become the visual symbol of this derussification movement. But Putin's special military operation forced them to burn those bridges. Now, the Kremlin is treating the region like a rebellious child, imposing scrutiny and suspicion on every citizen. But you can't force someone to hate their friends overnight, especially when those friends were the ones keeping your economy afloat. Is Kaliningrad still Russian, or is it a captive European state waiting for a chance to bolt? An underground digital poll revealed a shocking truth that keeps the FSB up at night. The separatist ghost is coming up. In February 2023, a massive underground digital poll took place that sent shockwaves through the Russian intelligence community. Even with the threat of the FSB hanging over their heads, Nearly 20% of Kaliningrad's entire population managed to cast a ballot in the form of the free nations of post-Russia. The question was simple. Do you want out? The result was a landslide. A staggering 72.1% of those who voted said they wanted complete independence from Moscow. While the Kremlin calls this a non-existent global movement of separatists, the numbers tell a different story. People aren't just asking for better prices. They're asking why their peaceful coexistence with Europe was sacrificed for a war waged thousands of miles away. Putin's response hasn't been compassion. It's been a crackdown. He's launching phony justice cases against anyone with ties to anti-corruption foundations. He's trying to build a fortress mentality. But the irony is that the people inside don't fear NATO. They fear the Kremlin ignoring them until they vanish into history. The crackdown is live, but the fortress is crumbling from the inside out. Putin's arrogance has broken Russia's European experiment forever. The final collapse of the Amber Country is next. Putin's short-sightedness has turned Kaliningrad from a strategic asset into a liability. By treating the region as nothing more than a military base, he's alienated the very people who live there. The Amber Country is now a gray, isolated wasteland. Transit costs are up, revenue is down, and the 5 billion ruble investment from the mainland is a total joke. It's designed to lower shipping costs, but locals say it's just ghost money. Ticket prices to Moscow are still skyrocketing, and the shops are still empty. It's too little, too late. This is the ultimate failure of the Kremlin's arrogance. Putin tried to do something so insane that he broke the very foundations of the Russian Federation. He's losing control of his most European territory because he refused to see it as anything more than a pawn on a chessboard. The people of Kaliningrad are trapped in a nightmare, watching their futures evaporate while a paranoid old man in a bunker calls the shots. The endurance myth is dead, and Kaliningrad is the proof. This is the origin untold. If you want to see the automated meat grinder that is draining the Russian military dry, watch our deep dive on the Ukraine frontline collapse. And to see the $2 billion ghost that allows the West to dominate the skies above these conflict zones, check out the B-2 Spirit Bomber. Join the inner circle, hit subscribe,